And welcome back, guys. Luke Warsby here, and today we are here back on MLB The Show 24, the Boston Red Sox franchise. Right after the Minnesota Twins won the 2024 World Series, we are here looking at some of our contracts, and I'm just gonna straight up tell you, the only one I'd be very little interested in would be Nick Pivetta. However, he wants too much money. We have a little bit of competition going on in our starting rotation. You know, Cutter Crawford could always make the cut as well. Do like him on long relief, but I mean, I'm more than fine to sign some bullpen guys if necessary. Maybe one or two guys that can really hold down the pen, make it more consistent. So, you know, we have 2 or 3 guys as well that could really make the team. So he's also 32 years old. I wouldn't want to offer him more than a 3-year deal, and he wants $7.4 million each year, and I don't think it's worth it. For a single year, he still wants 7.4, and you can see he's just not interested. To get him to that interest level that's like good, you're looking at $10.5 million. And I'm sorry, but Nick Pivetta, although he was probably one of our best pitchers, especially WAR-wise, I want to say he probably outperformed Bayo. I can't. He's not like a foundational piece for me here, so we're gonna pass on him. Chris Martin, off and on all year about him. Ref Snyder will suck to go, but again, we have a lot of guys who are competing for, that bench spot, especially with Valdez, I want to say, is the guy that went off. Valdez, who went off against Texas and Minnesota. And he's showing like, hey, I need to be up all the time. And I think he should now. Maybe I should have in the first place. 2023, he played a good amount of games and honestly wasn't too bad. So maybe I missed out on something there, but we were just stuck with such a weird spot. I went ahead and brought some of these guys back up. Kyle Teal for sure is going to be starting the whole season, and we have the prospects to look at here in our roster spots. We have Marmoleo, 71 overall already out of Venezuela. He was our last round pick, a potential, an absolute juggernaut. Some of these stats are concerning with his hits and homers per 9, and his control velocity. He does not have it, but he's definitely kind of a control guy that will hopefully hold it down. If he does well in spring training, there's no reason not to bring him up right away, I don't think. Then we have guys like Wilkman Gonzalez, who could potentially also, come up if he does well in spring training. Same with Chi Jung and Drew Hackenberg, of course, the guy we acquired from the Kenley Jensen, Tyler O'Neill trade. He's done, a lot of improvement. So I'm just not worried about it. We have plenty of guys: Tanner Houck, Brian Bayo, Garrett Whitlock, Cutter Crawford, Lucas Giolito. Right there, that's 5 if we need it. We can always sign another guy to a 1-year deal, another veteran, to hold down the fort for a bit. But it is time to hire some of our coaching staff for the year. I like Alex Cora overall. He's not too great in the game, but we did really well with him. Hayden Hoberg here is really bad in game, and we did have some hitting problems, so I'm going to go ahead and fire him as well. There's definitely some better guys we can take a look at here. Arav Kapoor. We're going to try and throw him a 5-year deal for an average salary of $1.7 million. Total payroll is still looking pretty good on that end. He doesn't have manager history, but that doesn't bug me any. He's looking for $1.3 million from 2 to 4 years, so maybe we stick to the 2 to 4 and go down to 1.5. Give him a little bit more than what he's looking for. 4 years, $6 million as our hitting coach. And of course, I know it's probably not as easy. And then pitching coach, pretty nice. Pitching clutch, Rocco Baldelli. 1+ home runs, 2 on the walks, 1 on the Ks, and 1 on pitching clutch. That looks pretty good to me. He does have some history here. He's made 4 postseasons, a championship, a World Series title, and won a pennant. Last year's 89-73. He was ours. Good to know. Well, I want to keep him back. I want to keep him here for sure. Wants $1 million for 4 years. That's exactly what I'm going to do, and some, because he really did a great job making sure. We're going to do another 4 years, $6 million for Rocco Baldelli. Third base coach. Just keep it simple. Fielding, durability, arm accuracy, and speed going up is pretty good. Reaction, blocking, durability. I'm just going to keep it simple. Andres Novoa. He wants $1.1 million a year. We'll do 4 years, $5 million. Give him $1.2 million. So we are going to move on, not extend any qualifying offer. And with this, we are off to a couple. Wow. Real quick, though. Here's a list of names of people becoming free agents. Amir Garrett. Big Amir Garrett fan, of course. Profar might be a good name here. Jason Hayward, Teoscar Hernandez, Walker Buehler, Christian Walker, Paul Goldschmidt. Wow. Jake Lamb, Aroldis Chapman might be a name. Gary Sanchez, Willie Adams, Brent Suter, Luke Maley and Lucas Sims, Garrett Cooper, Kyle Hendricks, Kyle Edwards Jr., Joey Gallo, Dylan Floro, Joey Wendell. Yeah. A lot of guys here. Alex Bregman. Looks like the Twins aren't losing much all in all. Blake Snell. Well, I guess that makes sense. He was already a free agent. Must have got signed to a 1-year deal. Joey Votto's now a free agent here. Surprised he didn't retire. Juan Soto. Free agent. That would be something, wouldn't it? Let's see. We have to select our 40-man roster. So we have 37 right now. We need to go through and fix that. Salary arbitrations. Tanner Hook. Jaron Duran. I realized I might have been saying Jalen for so long. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Names are not my strong suit, as you guys are probably discovering. But thanks for sticking through it. Jaron Duran, Jared Kelenic, Cutter Crawford, Bobby Dahlbeck, Lucas Lutke. I feel like I said Luetke. Jolio Rodriguez, and Reese McGuire. We might have to let Reese McGuire go here since we are bringing up Teal, and we do have Wong, so he's probably not going to last on the team here. But everyone else, I would love to bring back for arbitration. I'll have to look into this. So we'll go through those, and I'll show you guys what's up with there when we get there. Tender contracts. These players are under team control because they don't qualify for arbitration yet. These players are not offered a contract by December 2nd. They'll become free agents. Contract renewable player decides to decline your offer. You can still renew their contract for no less than 80% of their previous salary. So these guys are the renewable contracts. And we have Drew Hackenberg. Roman Anthony. Of course, he's someone I want to bring back here. Make an offer. Yes. Okay. That won't take too long. So we'll go through that as well off camera. Make sure our team's looking good. And then, of course, free agents are out. Juan Soto. How much does Juan Soto want a year? 10-year deal, which would be reasonable for Juan Soto. He wants $38.5 million. That seems really easy to do for Juan Soto. That might be something we do. I know Jaron Duran's just not cutting it. Juan Soto here, 315, 412, 635 at 104.7. Of course, he's been bouncing around since leaving Washington, going to San Diego, and still playing, in my opinion, good baseball. Juan Soto's the guy. That was my number 1 overall pick in fantasy last year. And he didn't disappoint me. And Sim, 46 homers, 113 RBIs, and he is a year younger, maybe even 2 at this point, than Devers. So, definitely a guy you want on your team. Pete Alonso, 30 years old, not looking to get a first baseman. Same with Christian Walker, but I love Christian Walker. Blake Snell's another guy to look at. Corbin Burns is out here. Could probably get a good 3-year deal. Also, thing to keep in mind is we will lose picks. We could lose picks. Max Fried, another guy that could be potentially pretty good. 3.66 ERA. Anthony Santander might also be a good bridge player in the outfield for a couple years. Shane Bieber. Can't go wrong with Shane Bieber as well to hold down the fort. There's going to be a lot of good names here. JD Martinez. I don't know if he ended up playing at all. That's a shame how that ended up working out with the save that we got. Tyler O'Neill is back on the market, so it looks like they didn't pick them up. Walker Buehler is actually a free agent. See potential on Walker Buehler is crazy. Fun fact, I went to the same high school as Walker Buehler, but yeah, he might be a great player to pick up. I'm a huge Walker Buehler fan, of course, for that reason. Joey Gallo, Gary Sanchez, probably good idea to look at some of these relief pitchers here. Jeff Hoffman, Shelby Miller, Sean Armstrong, Matt Moore, some really good guys here. Lucas Sims. I'd love to take a look at Lucas Sims. Paul Sewald is here. He didn't sim too well last year. But, again, definitely some good names to take a look at here. I'm going to go through and, clean up the 40-man, offer some arbitration to the guys that I think need it. I think it's going to be pretty much everyone here. So I'm going through this, and one thing I want to mention is I am going to extend the contract to Rafaela for that 8-year, $50 million that he did sign in real life. I think it's, maybe a little too much, but it's realistic, and it only happened a couple days after I started this series, really. So I don't mind doing it. I think it's a good contract. It could pay out. It could bust, but it's only $6.2 million a year for a guy who I hope to be the starting whatever, right? Wherever he wants to be, I want him to be the guy. So I also want to make sure he's in center field more next year as well. So I was just going through the contracts, wanted to go through a day, see what the progress was on them, and just like that, Blake Snell, 2-year deal, $46 million. One's off the board already, so I got to be careful. But I did go through and offer arbitration to who I wanted to. The only other guy I'm missing here is Jared Kelenic. And I wanted to wait on Kelenic because maybe I wanted to offer him a deal, an extended deal. I also didn't give one to Lutke, Rodriguez, or McGuire. They're just not quite there for me. In terms of tendering contracts, we did go through a lot of them. And a lot of guys we didn't give deals to. So Brandon Walter, meant to for Abreu. So there's a couple guys here I still need to go through and do stuff for. But like Valdez, we went through and already offered him a 3-year extension. Same with Grissom. And then, of course, Rafael's 8-year extension we got here. So I wanted to see kind of where our money was before I offered Kelenic a deal. So after looking through everything, setting up the 40-man roster, giving contracts out, and now we're looking at maybe some free agency ads. I think for sure I want to sign Kelenic for a 5-year deal here for $23 million. It's a no-brainer. He is just improving. He had a great season last year with the Braves, and his small tenure with us, he was on fire. And I want him to be a part of our outfield for forever, really. So we're going to give him this contract. And with that, we have offered a couple of these guys some of those deals. So we're going to keep going through, see how arbitration goes. We've offered it to everyone, like I mentioned before. And we are now good to start taking a look at free agency and seeing what we're going to do. I don't know. I really don't know right now. I am really going back and forth here because as of now, this could be a accurate roster to what opening day is going to look like if we didn't make any moves, at least in terms of the lineup. Having Dalbec, Wong, Valadez off the bench, and then we're, of course, going to need maybe Willie Abreu or Walyer Abreu. Could be a good piece to have in the outfield. Good speed, good fielding. Maybe he's the guy we bring up to fill it. Or a part of me is thinking, hey, we go after in Santander or maybe an Adam Duvall. There were some other guys in free agencies. One of these big, just, hey, he has a chance to drop 30 home runs, 95 RBIs, just someone to really have in our 6-7 hole. I mean, even Teoscar Hernandez, he might be a little too good to pick up. Jock Peterson would be a perfect example of the type of guy to have. But then you're thinking, that's kind of like what Tyler O'Neill was for us, and we traded him. I mean, I directly said a guy like that's not going to work. And he was younger than Peterson, right? He's younger than Duvall. I don't want any of those guys. Santander, so much younger than Santander. Well, not so much, but a couple years. So it's like, why should we get Santander this year if we were actively trading Tyler O'Neill at the last deadline when there's so much more for O'Neill in terms of what he can provide? And I know, Santander probably had a better year overall. Even like a Max Kepler probably had a better year. So guys like Michael Conforto, he would be incredible to have in our lineup every day. But it just doesn't make sense for me right now, I don't think, to commit to a 1-2 year deal on that, especially when Juan Soto's right here. So that's where my mind's like, if we're going to make a move, we make a move. We don't go after Santander, Tyler O'Neill again, or Adam Duvall, or JD Martinez, or Jock Peterson, or Tommy Pham. I'm not going to go after these guys. So it's hard to also commit to Juan Soto because then what happens? I mean, Yoshida. I mean, he's got 2 years after that. So maybe this is a perfect timeline to go over a guy like Juan Soto. Let's look at some bullpen pieces here that we could use. Right now, if we're looking at our rotation, we are missing a starting pitcher. If we move Cutter Crawford in, which I could see us doing, I do like this. And this is not mentioning all of our AAA guys. We have a couple pitchers that could compete as well. We only have 4 relief guys. So what do we have that we can potentially move up? When I want Jaron Duran to be on the bench most likely. I want him to be a guy that we can use as an asset when need be. But if that's the case, I mean, Yoshida can always move to the outfield and we can get a DH, right? So what's stopping me from getting a Paul Goldschmidt, right? An aging Paul Goldschmidt. Well, his 185 will stop me. Or even like a Kyle Farmer, who at 250, 300, 420, so 720. I mean, him being off the bench in the first place, he had a negative WAR. Maybe he's not the play. But there's so many guys here like Joey Gallo. I mean, I would never want Joey Gallo. 18 homers, 46 RBIs, 96 games, not too bad. Got Pete Alonso. Would love to see him go to the Cardinals. That'd be hilarious. Or Christian Walker, right? You can move those guys to DH or move Yoshida to the outfield. I mean, it's just Costas could also go to DH. So those moves are possible, especially when looking at what our roster is looking like in the outfield. We could have McDonough. I went over this already, but they're not guys that would take Duran out of the lineup. But maybe Duran should be. I mean, he is really outperforming this year so far in the 2024 season. He just didn't do it in game. And maybe he just needs another year. I mean, it's going to be his 3rd year. He's still young, relatively. So maybe we just keep him. But Juan Soto, the more and more I think about it, we might have to make an offer for him. Of course, not to mention any Rule 5 guys we can pick up. I usually like looking at some bullpen guys, but Marcelo Mayer's not going to be that far behind. Of course, I don't think Roman Anthony will be either. He's already up to 61. We could see him within the next year or so. Of course, Hackenberg's a possibility. I put Criswell on waivers. I got rid of him on our 40-man. Ji-Jung Liu could be another possible bullpen guy to come up. Gonzalez, of course, I'm huge on. He could be ready, potentially. So I think a lot of these guys are going to depend on spring training. So we definitely need to get 1 or 2 bullpen guys. Brian Mata, didn't give him a chance last year, but he could definitely come up and hit in the bullpen. Same with White Olds. And then we have guys that we drafted. Marmoleo, Estrella, Chacin are all candidates, to come up and pitch immediately. And I would love to see Marmoleo in the bullpen. I think with his stuff, I think that would be efficient. So it's really hard to potentially get a starting pitcher for next year. And especially not going to do a Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Shane Bieber, Kyle Hendricks, who, by the way, still awful news on Shane Bieber. But maybe guys like Walker Buehler, who wants $7 million a year. I wouldn't give him 5 years. I'd probably give him 2. But he looks like he's more interested in a 2-year, $8 million deal. 2 years, 7.5. Promise him in the rotation. I mean, this is a guy. I mean, last year at a 3 ERA, went 11-11, which is kind of surprising for the Dodgers, but still had a 2.6 WAR. I mean, back in 2021, he had a 5.3. 2019, a 5.1. Of course, I'm huge on him, like I mentioned. So, would love this. I think for sure would love a Walker Buehler. So if that's anything, that's probably what it'd be. But it'd be for a 2 or 3 year deal. Eyeing probably 2 years, since that's what he likes more on this 7.5. Since even doesn't quite make sense, but he might be more into that than others. So that would be promising. Maybe even picking up Pivetta again. He was solid for us. Frankie Montas, how did he sim in the game? 3.54 ERA, 9-10. He had 125 strikeouts, 180 innings, 2 WAR. He could be fun to pick up as well for a year or 2. So I would be interested in doing those types of deals. Even throwing like Michael Lorenzen in the bullpen. Looks like he didn't play last year. Wasn't signed. But then you're going to start looking at guys. We have a lot of potential guys here to look at. Would definitely love Lucas Sims as well, who simmed pretty okay. 98 innings pitched. So I wish you could pull up stats when looking through these so you can really get an understanding like you can in out of the park baseball. But definitely going to aim for 2 or 3 pitchers. And honestly, if we sign any position player, I'm offering a contract to Juan Soto. I'm just terrified of getting into a bidding war. We have the money. We definitely have the money to offer him however much he wants. It would be a 7-year deal. He'd still have time to sign another free agency contract. He'd definitely be good enough by the 26, the age 32 season. He could definitely sign it. Fenway is so beneficial for left-handed batters. We have the money. We're known to spending money. It just makes no sense not to. But I've thought about it, and I think the first starting point should be pitching. This team needs more solid pitching, and we can't go around with offense. I know our pitching outperformed our offense in the sim, but if you're looking at the Red Sox from the outside and you're seeing the teams and the ratings, we need pitching. So I'm going to stick through with Walker Buehler on a 2-year, $15 million deal. Promise him in the rotation, normal structure. Have him here until his first 30 and 31. Would love to have him for another, but we're going to stick with this. I think he'll be a good bridge for a lot of our young potential pitchers to come up and really fill out their role. And Walker Buehler is just a good start for this. And he's cheap. 7.5 is so cheap for Walker Buehler. So we're going to have that contract in. I think that's going to be the only guy we go after. I'm also eyeing, of course, Lucas Sims here. I'm going to offer him a contract. He wants 5 years. I think he'd be a consistent guy to have in our bullpen. Again, $2.5 million is not a lot of money. The 3 years, maybe too much. We're going to tone it down to 2. Have him as just immediate bullpen help as well. As of now, we only have Bernardio, Winkowski, and Hendricks. Of course, a lot of spring training is going to determine, like I've mentioned, but we definitely need something else. I would like to find another lefty. Theo Barr, of course, we faced him. Wow. Yeah, we faced him last year. He had 41 innings, 194, 110 whip. He might be a guy I also throw a contract at. 1 year. I'd be interested in giving him $3.5 million for a year. Just another guy to have for sure on lockdown. Going to be another lefty in the bullpen. The Yankees are the only team to offer Juan Soto, and he's not too interested. So I think we might be able to go a day, see what else can happen. We're finally getting somewhere. 7 years, $230 million. These contracts are not going well for a lot of these guys. Pete Alonso also getting some love from the Cardinals. Arizona's the only one on. Walker. Corbin Burns goes to Texas. That could be a problem. That could for sure be a problem. Shane Bieber's getting some love from the Dodgers. So is Teoscar Hernandez. Walker Buehler's getting the only love over from here. I think that's going to be a really good deal if we're able to pull it. I think it's time. I can't stop. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes thinking, oh, how is this going to play out? Or is this going to make the series is it going to be too broken because we got Juan Soto? But we're still building around these young guys. We still have a bunch of guys that can come up and break the mold for this roster. We have to compete with the Dodgers, with the Yankees. We have to compete with the Braves, the Minnesota Twins, the Texas Rangers getting Corbin Burns. If we want to compete right now, we have to do it. And this team is so much more prepared than I imagined. So we might as well, step on the acceleration, offer him a contract he can't refuse. I'm looking at $39 million for 7 years. Backloading or front loading it and giving him a player option. And just to sweeten the pot, we'll make it $274 for 7 years. I think it's a big contract, but we're big spender. We're the Boston Red Sox. I think this could happen in real life if the Red Sox outperformed this year like they did for us. I don't see why not. I mean, you're looking at teams like the Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Blue Jays. Right now, we outperformed all of those teams outside the Yankees. But I'm not sure if he's going to last with the Yankees. So I'm going to offer that contract, but we might start a bidding war. So it looks like we were able to pick up Theo Barr and Lucas Sims Huge additions to the team. Thalbar for 1 year, Lucas Sims for 2. But we did get Rafaela on that 8-year, $50 million extension that happened in real life. So he's going to be paid out. Brian Bayo's paid out. Tristan Casas is paid out. The only 2 big contracts that we have long term is Devers and Story. Of course, Yoshida's going to be for 3 years, but I think the $18 million is perfect. And I think this would be a perfect transition for Roman Anthony to come in at this point, around this time. Rafaela and Juan Soto to hold down the other ends. Or whoever comes in and fills the spot for DH as well. So, whether that's Mayer, I think Juan Soto makes a lot of sense. If you're looking at like these salaries for these next couple years, it's nothing. It's nothing. So we are set up really well to offer this big contract for 7 seasons. We have Devers pretty much his whole career, and I love it. I cannot wait to have Devers, Soto, Yoshida, Casas. That 4 is crazy. Looks like Ellie was re-signed. How did Ellie do? Just for curiosity here as a Reds fan. So Matt McClain, 289. He's a stud. Ellie De La Cruz, 255, 24 homers, 85 RBIs, 37 stolen bases. Spencer Steer was the all-star who has been an absolute tear, leading the league in RBIs so far, 20 homers, 85 RBIs at 289. Will Benson, my favorite Red, see potential, doing him dirty at 293, 18 homers, 71 RBIs. 237, 16 homers, and a potential, though, for the big man, 61 RBIs. I know that this is not the Reds. I'm sorry. Just a little interested. There's a big one. Pete Alonso re-signs with the New York Mets. Boring, but it happened. Finally, something happened. Looks like the Pirates are in on Juan Soto, offering $282 for 9 years. Looks like he still likes R274 for 7 more. I will go more years if I have to. I just thought it would be more attractive for him. What other teams are getting exciting here? Of course, you're seeing a lot of Dodgers, Braves. Besides that, not much going on here. Kind of disappointing. It'd be surprising if Pivetta is unable to pick up a contract of any sorts. But, oh, yeah, so we got Walker Buehler. It looks like, too, yeah? He is a Red Sox. Look at him there. We able to pick up Walker Buehler. He's going to definitely hit the rotation. Probably as our 3 guy. Giolito goes to 4, and Houck is going to go to 5. This is looking much better than it was before. That is for sure. So Bayo, Whitlock, Buehler, Giolito, and Houck. Cutter Crawford's going to stick with long relief here, who I love there. Bernardio, Winkowski, Thalbar, Sims, and Hendricks. So just a couple pieces away, but I think we're there. I think we are really getting there. We're getting close to that 40-day. Let's take a look at some guys we can lose. It looks like some of the only ones. Lugo's kind of interesting. Don't want to lose him. And maybe Nick Decker. So, Lugo, I'd rather keep Coffee up. Lugo would suck for sure, but we don't have room. We're actually above 40 men at this point. So we're going to have to go through and actually cut some people out. But, yeah, Lugo we might just have to accept that we're losing. And then the other one is Decker, left fielder, which I know we're pretty short on outfielders overall. So that could also suck to lose, but not the end of the world. So I think I'm feeling pretty good about our 40-man. Just for shits and giggles, a little bit of depth, I'm throwing Amir Garrett a 1-year, $1 million contract. Maybe I can go a little bit lower, actually. We'll go 1 year, $900,000 contract. He'll probably be in the minors, but got to give love to my Reds boys here, while also maintaining a little bit of depth, because we still need 2 or 3 pitchers to be in our bullpen, and some of our young guys might not cut it, so it's good to keep an eye on some of these guys just in case. Christian Walker just got an offer. It looks like when the Cardinals could not get Pete Alonso, they went to their next best thing in Christian Walker. The next big thing has finally happened. $13 million a year for 4 years on Christian Walker, 4-year, $52.4 million deal. We had a pretty good season. Cardinals getting someone good. Oh my God! Shit. Oh, I still have a bad throat, and I was not expecting this. Holy shit. Juan Soto is the newest Boston Red Sox. You see it is front loaded, and he does have that player option. So we got 52, 47, 43, 39, 34, 30, and 26. I thought there was going to be competition. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more back and forth, but we easily won Juan Soto over. Led the league in homers in 46, and that is going to be a huge pop to join Devers, Story, Casas, Yoshida. And I think the only thing we need to do now is wait for the Rule 5 draft. Draft lottery and the Athletics. Very worth it. Very worthy. Had a 10% chance and they got it. Giants 1.8% at 2, jumped 8. Poor Nationals, Mets. Mets just keep getting shadier and shadier for them. Tigers don't need much. They've been doing freaking awful with what they got anyways. Fun. Fun stuff. Wow. Gleyber Torres. I thought for sure was going to be a Yankee. You're looking at Ozzie Albies. Well, he's going to stay in the lineup. Or I guess David Fletcher. David Fletcher's going to be out. Gleyber Torres is just going to play shortstop. Go to the draft. Here you're looking at Chris Rodriguez, 99 velocity, hitting a 97-mile-an-hour four-seam fastball. Good breakage. 26 years old. Andrew Moore, a righty with some better stuff, just has the ability to walk, but high velocity, throws 97-mile-an-hour four-seamer. Whew. I'm liking it. I'll make Andrew Moore. I mean, you're looking at guys, we had 60s throughout. I'm not afraid of having guys in the 60s because that's kind of what we're looking at right now in the first place before picking up 270s. I mean, Ben Joyce might be fighting for a spot here. Maybe another starter to throw in the bullpen. We were looking at Chris Rodriguez, has that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. That is pretty tempting. Chris Rodriguez. Get another heater. 99 velocity guy. And I think that's going to be it. Chris Rodriguez hitting long relief at a 68 overall, and Andrew Moore in middle relief. I look away for maybe a moment, and Corbin Burns is out here getting $15.4 million. A 5-year, $77 million deal from the Oakland Athletics. Patrick Wisdom going to the Royals. Max Fried to the Twins. Tanner Houck goes for $1.8 million. Cutter Crawford, $1.3 million, is fine with me. Bobby Dalbec, $1.12. It's a little high. And it is spring training time. So we got through the offseason. Our stats are looking like this. 20th overall, 8th in contact, 14th in power, 24th in pitching, 20th in defense, 7th in speed. With that, I'm going to go ahead and fill out these rosters. It looks like we really need to do a lot of it. So I feel like I've been working on this episode for a long time, going back and forth. But at the end of the day, the big moves, Juan Soto, Walker Buehler, and then, of course, also getting some bullpen help in Sims, Thalbar, and then some of the Rule 5s in Andrew Moore and Chris Rodriguez. So these are going to be guys for us that hopefully last and have some fun. Juan Soto, of course, is only going to get better. With that, that is the 2024 offseason. Going into spring training, we're going to make sure our young guys play. I want to figure out who is going to be on this team next year. So thanks for watching, guys. Please leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you want more. And let me know what you think. Was Juan Soto too much, or is he just perfect? Later, guys.